Hey, what's up guys? In this video I'm gonna talk about what you can do if your magazines are leaking. Now there's several reasons why magazines can leak. The screws can come loose because of the vibration of the shots. Then it can be simple things such as air moisture or air temperature, the temperature of the surroundings. When it gets cold, then the O-rings can break. There's several things. But in this video I'm gonna show you how to fix pretty much all of them. We're gonna start with the CO2 magazines. Later on I'm gonna talk about the green gas ones. Check out this timestamp right here. It shows where you have to go in order to check out the green gas ones. Okay, what's gonna happen with the CO2 magazines is that when you pin a capsule, that all the gas exhausts at once. I modified this gas magazine so it actually does that. Yeah, exactly. The reason why all the CO2 escaped is because of the exhaust valve, and usually it's very easy to fix. All you need is this valve key right here, and that's something I highly recommend independent of if you use CO2 or gas magazines. This valve tool will save you a lot of money and a lot of hassle because you can fix pretty much any magazine with this one. Don't try to use screwdrivers or needle nose pliers or anything to, try to unscrew this. You're gonna break the valves pretty likely. You're gonna strip those cuts and just, get this once in your life, and it's gonna save you a lot of hassle. So what we're gonna do is we take this end right here with the two tiny knobs right here. We align it with the cuts of the exhaust valve. We just put it inside there, and then we slightly, and I really mean slightly, I just, use 3 fingers and I just screw it in a little bit harder. Don't overdo it. If you, twist here like crazy, you have a big lever and you can break the exhaust valve. Also, you have to apply a little bit of pressure, to the valve so that it doesn't come out when you screw. So don't just do it like this. You have to apply pressure and then slightly twist. Okay, now we're gonna try again. If it fixed it, it should. If it didn't, then we also have to loop the entire system. Okay, so move the CO2 capsule, take the new one, put it in there, and we pin it again. We hope for the best. In case this didn't work, you just remove the CO2 capsule again, just to be safe. And then you unscrew here again with the same tool. You unscrew the exhaust valve. Now here, keep in mind, if you hear like some of the CO2 escaping right here, it's always the exhaust valve, because first it has to pass the exhaust valve and then here it starts to leak. So don't think you have to exchange the seal right here. It is always the exhaust valve. If you can't take it out, you can use needle nose pliers, but I can just pull it out like this. Now what you want to do is you want to clean this valve right here, especially the plastic disc here on the CO2 one. And then you can, push here on the back of the valve, and also clean between the brass and the actual plastic disc right here. Just clean it all up. Make sure that there's no dirt in there, because as soon as there's a little bit of dirt in between, it's not gonna seal perfectly anymore. Then what you can do is lube it up. Therefore, I recommend the thin silicone oil. If you don't have it from the NOVRITSCH maintenance kit, you can also, use some other silicone oil, but that's the one I recommend. Just pour it on here, a little bit onto the plastic disc, and you also want to have it between, when you push here, you want to have it between the stainless steel part and the plastic part, and then you also want to have it between the plastic disc and the brass right here. Just should be everywhere. Then you can also apply it here onto the O-ring. Here you can't see the O-ring because it's transparent, but here on the end of the thread is an O-ring. And then you can also put some inside those 4 holes right here. Then also here on the back, it should soak in there, just here also on the gap between here the bolt and the outside of the valve, and then you just press. You try to get the oil just everywhere. Okay, there we go. And then you also can clean here the inside a little bit, which usually not necessary, but you can still do it since we already have it open. You know, clean the thread, get all the dirt out of there. And yeah, then you can also put some lube in here to the thread. And then we just put it back in. Therefore, we just press it in. We take the valve tool again, same tool, and we screw it inside there. Don't over tight this one. If you overdo it, you can break the seal. So just slightly twist it in there. Okay, if this also didn't help and it's still leaking, then I recommend you to exchange this valve right here. And if it's leaking from the bottom, so right here, there's also a seal. This seal is that one that, you know, it first pins the CO2 capsule and then the seal makes sure that nothing escapes. It's very hard to get in there. What I like to do is I just put some of the lube here on the tip of the CO2 cartridge. You can also use a used one, and then you just drop it in there. You know, you turn it around a little, you take it out again, and you just redo the process until you have enough lube on the rubber seal. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's really it. That's how you fix the leaking on a CO2 magazine. But now we're gonna head on to the green gas one. There it's a little bit different. The green gas magazine has more weak points where it can leak compared to the CO2 magazine. So let's go through all of them. First of all, we want to find out where it actually leaks. Therefore, you can take a bucket, you fill it with water, then you put the magazine inside, and where the bubbles come from, that's where you have a leak problem. Now, if it's leaking from the top part, you know, everything upside from here, it is the exhaust valve. So this valve right here. So let's have a look at this later. If it's leaking from the bottom, it's either the O-ring around the base here, or it is the fill valve or the O-ring around the screw right here. First of all, we're gonna take a look at the exhaust valve. In order to remove the exhaust valve, you need some kind of valve key. I'm selling one at NOVRITSCH. It will perfectly fit SSP1, and it will also work with pretty much any other gas blowback pistol or gas blowback rifle. We use this tool right here with the two little knobs. We align it with the cuts on the exhaust valve, and then we unscrew it. Now, in order to unscrew the exhaust valve, please don't use any, you know, modified screwdrivers or flathead, needle nose pliers, anything like this. We will ruin the valve. Please get a proper tool, otherwise you might just damage everything. Then if you can't get this out, you can use needle nose pliers again, or you can just use your fingers. Also make sure that you don't damage it too much, because if you apply too much force on it, it might break. Okay, there we go. That's the valve. First of all, we wanna clean it. So, you know, we just take a paper and we can push here on the back. Then we can get into the gap right here. We just clean it off. We make sure that all the dirt is gone. Shouldn't be too dirty actually, but after a long time of use, it can get dirty. So clean it off. And before you actually take it out, what you can do, if you're experiencing leaking, you can just press, you know, here on the back and insert silicone lube. Here, recommend the thin silicone lube from the NOVRITSCH maintenance kit, but you know, you can also use any other silicone lube. You know, you press it and then you fill silicone lube from the top into the feeding lip, and you press again. This way it just, you know, goes all the way into the valve, or you can also apply some of the silicone here. But if this doesn't help, then, you know, we have to take it out. There's no way around it. Yeah, once it's cleaned up, we want to lube everything again. Therefore, we just press here in the back so we get access to the O-ring. We lube the O-ring, all of them actually. We lube this one here. And we also put in some silicone lube here. And here also from the back too. Really soak it with silicone oil. You know, you can't really overdo it right here. Then we also want to clean the threads here on the inside. I'll just make it nice and clean. And then we thread it back in. After you've done that and you still have leaking problems, try to tighten the valve a little bit more, but don't overdo it really. If you tighten this too much, the O-ring will break. So just, you know, slightly tighten it. And again, if it's not enough, tighten a little bit more. And if it still leaks, then I recommend you to exchange the exhaust valve. But please keep in mind that if it's leaking, you know, somewhere in this area, so everything on top of my hand, it is the exhaust valve. It can't be the feeding lip, because if the exhaust valve is sealing properly, none of the gas can even reach the feeding lip unless you press it during the shot. But you know, if you have it in your hand and it's already leaking in the bucket, in the water bucket, then it's always the exhaust valve. If it's leaking on the bottom, however, there is a ton of other things you can take care of. First of all, very basic maintenance here is just, you know, apply some of the silicone oil here onto the valve, and then you just, you know, use your gas bottle and you just press it in there. Therefore, you can get some of the silicone into the magazine. So this might help. If it doesn't help, then you can use this side here of the valve key. Again, don't use a screwdriver for it. You're gonna mess it up. Use a proper valve key. And again, here you have those little knobs, then you have the cuts inside the valve. You align it properly. You apply enough pressure. Here you need quite a bit of pressure, and then you slightly turn it in, very gently. If this didn't help, you can also use this Allen key right here, and you know, any Allen key will do it. Metric Allen key, don't use the Imperial ones from America. Just tighten this screw right here, slightly tighten it up. If it leaks, tighten it a little bit. If this also doesn't help, again, we have to take it apart. Therefore, we have to unscrew this screw right here. Unscrew it all the way. You have to wiggle a little bit here usually to get it out there, because it's a tight fit with the O-ring. Okay, there we go. O-ring already came out. This one we can actually remove it. And then we do the process very similar to the exhaust valve. So first of all, we can, you know, take out the in-host valve by again using the valve key. We take it out, and there again we have some O-rings. We can first, you know, clean everything off. We just clean around here. We make sure that there's nothing is below the O-ring, that it's all nice and clean. Clean it off. And then we also clean off here the inside. Get all the dirt out of here. Then we lube it right here. And we lube the O-ring. Also lube here, the O-ring on the inside. And then we twist it back in there. If this didn't help, and when you assemble the magazine again, you still have leaking problems at the in-host valve, then I recommend you to change the in-host valve. You can get this in the spare part shop at NOVRITSCH.com. But I twist it in there again. And here again, don't overdo it, just tighten it slightly. If it's still leaking, try to tighten it a little bit more. If it's still leaking, then, you know, get a new fill valve or in-host valve. Okay, then up next we wanna maintain this O-ring right here. You know, we just lube it up, we get it soaked in silicone. Then we can remove the dirt right here around the base of this O-ring. We also apply here some silicone all the way around. And then we put on this O-ring again. There we go. Up next is the O-ring of the screw. Here again, we can take it off here. We clean it, the screw, then the O-ring. We apply some silicone oil thin again. And then we put it on there, also between the washer and the O-ring, of course. And then also here on the inside. Right here, there also goes some lube. And then we push the screw back in. Then we assemble it back together. Now comes this part, there's a direction. Here is this little plastic knob. Here is the cutout. You just put it in there. You don't have to put it in all the way because the base will hold it anyways. Base goes in like this with the screw facing the back where the valve is. And then we just push it in there. You have to take care that the O-ring is in the right place, that it doesn't get squeezed in any way. And there we go. Just push it back together. You know, move it both ways a little bit, not that the O-ring gets into a wrong position. This is what should not happen. The O-ring should stay on there. So we try it again. Maybe, you know, we can loop this entire part right here a little bit more, so it's easier to install the O-ring. Try it one more time. Just push it in there with your fingernails a little bit. You know, make it sure that it's in everywhere. And then, there we go. Push it in there, and then we screw it down again. Okay, here also, don't overdo it, you know, just screw it down gently, otherwise you can break the O-rings and the seal again. And there we go. If you still have leaking problems, and you know, you're gonna see it when you put it into the bucket, if it's coming out from this gap right here, you have to exchange the O-ring that's around the base. If you see it coming from the screw, of course you have to exchange the O-ring from the screw, and if it's coming from the valve, just change the entire fill valve. In case this part does move down, you can use the Allen key to force it down there. And yeah, there we go. Just put back on the base and you are all set. That's how you fix leaking problems on the green gas magazines.